Thank you, Angel, and Heidi ho, everyone. Welcome aboard. Happy hump day whilst I'm at it. Hope you're having a good Wednesday. And are we? No, I'm not even going to go there. I was going to ask the US dollar question again. I don't know. I really don't know. But what I would say is those that we are taking advantage of, I may even consider add points. Today, I'm going to have a look at those Aussie dollar, pound dollar in particular. See if we can squeeze a little bit more out of the money can on those two pairs. We'll see how we go. Let's speaking of the pound, let's take a look at that and see if we're going to trade a breakout today. There it is, pound US dollar on the 1 hour chart, and it does look rangy in there, doesn't it? Oh, that looks a bit like a bear flag also, doesn't it? Tweezer bottom, higher high, higher low, higher high. Yeah, okay. Where's yesterday? Up here. See, if we want to trade the 48-hour range, we're looking at 125 pips. We are down near the bottom. Similar to yesterday, if you have a look at the technical scenario, yesterday looked as though it was a sell, and that's how it turned out. Fortunately, it hasn't gone a long way, but it did manage to get our TP1 fairly easily. I kind of like the look of lower high range, lower low, lower high, lower low. Yeah, lower low. Where's our lower high? Is it in here somewhere? Is it a weekly pivot? That's the question I ask myself. I'm not going to trade the range break, by the way. One thing we should be doing, and I haven't been doing, is concentrating on the older method of trading the range of the day break. I haven't been doing that. I'll have to go back and do it in retro, because it's super important to me that we don't dismiss what we already learned out of that particular setup. Gee whiz, this is confusing today. A little tweezer bottom there. Okay, I'm happy to leave it alone for now and let it do its thing. We are safe in the market. We've taken TP1. Our stops are at the same as we took at TP1, so we can only at worst break square here. That'll be okay. So I'm going to leave the pound for now and go on to a few other things that I want to clear up. Today's key reversal bars were only two as far as I could tell. One was euro pound, and it was suggesting a very, very nice retrace. Well, I'll call it a rebound, if you like. We'll call it a bounce, shall we? Off the top of this channel, which I really didn't have on my chart, and more for me because I love chart structures, as you know, and the structure to me is super important and therefore gives me a strong indication that we are going to head down in this direction. Now, today's candle thus far wouldn't suggest that that's the case, and I was bullish yesterday. I was absolutely bullish yesterday, but then I put my structure on the chart, and I see more today than I saw yesterday. I see a resistance level here. It's been support here. It's been support here. It's been support here to a lesser degree. Certainly resistance here. So the horizontal levels sound, as is the trade line, which of course is a trend line. It's also the top of our descending channel. So I'm more inclined to think short here now than I was long yesterday. What was my reason for being long yesterday? This scenario, really, this big bullish engulfing bar, and then a series of higher highs and lows. So I was looking for price to go further. Of course, trading there is no option. And trading down at this level, if you want to go long, is by far the better option. That's kind of there. And the monthly pivot is dead ahead. And that's kind of where I'm focused. I'm focused on price getting through this level. I've also put in the trade line through here, maybe hit the monthly pivot, back underneath all of that, then retest it, and then short. That could take quite a while to develop, and it's probably not going to happen today. But if the smaller time frames do support that, then absolutely I'll be looking to trade that short. Am I willing to trade it long to the monthly pivot to get short is the question. Answer no, not from here. Had we had a break of support and back above it, retest it, different story, but I don't see a real opportunity to trade this long to get short at this point anyway. If it does come back and hit that support level and I get a false break of it, then that may change. But at this point in time, answer is no. The other key reversal bar today was Euro Swissy. And for the life of me, this won't die. It's leading me to think that it actually might turn into a decent trade. I didn't take it by accident, of course. We were short at the time, and I was covering the shorts by entering the market here, seeing that little double cross on the weekly pivot. It's turned out to be probably the best thing I've done with Euro Swissy. And we've taken 2 lots of profit. We've got our stops into positive territory. So I'm just letting this one roll. If we were to get to the top here and then break out and retest, this could turn into a decent trade. We'll see. If, however, it comes off the top here and gives us a lower high, then I think I'd re-enter the short position. But they really were the only 2 key reversal bars today. This one suggesting that we're going short, too difficult to trade because of the weekly pivot. But you can see that we're sandwiched here in between the pivots and the trend lines and trade lines. So it's a little bit tough to trade, in my humble opinion. 2 range, well, really 1, because I've already given you Euro Pound. I think that could turn out to be a nice range trade if we come back inside it. The other one, which is, of course, a classic ranging pair, is this one, Euro Aussie, and this just ranges and ranges and ranges and does look quite appealing at the moment. In particular, if we got below the daily pivot and came back and retested it and gave us a lower high in that vicinity, I think that'd be an excellent opportunity to trade this short. Am I committed to a longer term thing? No, I don't believe so. It is the last day of the month, and therefore the monthly pivot will move tomorrow to where? Gee, there's a good question. Well, it's got to go up, but yeah, probably to around about weekly pivot area, middle of that range, I would have thought. So I'd like to get in now if I could, or today if I could. And I think that little scenario that I just described would be quite apt on any time frame. So that's my focus. In fact, that's probably the major focus for me today. I would have thought Euro Aussie. Let's update a couple of trades that we are in particular, our trade of the week, last week. Pound yen has finally gone into profit for us. Gee, it took a long time, and probably a little bit of discomfort, I would have thought, for many. I was not that comfortable with the position when it was up here, but the trade line, the trend line there rather, well, both really, was keeping me a little bit sane, if you like. Proves now that we've come back to entry, and I've actually gone into defensive mode at that point. As soon as it did come back and got us into profit, I took some. I took half off the table and moved my stops above yesterday's daily bar. So really what I'm saying there is if this goes long again, I think we'll actually take out this high and take out the trade line. So for that reason, I didn't want to be put into that position again. So I'm happy to, well, happy is not the right word. I'm okay with myself if price does come back and take me out now, because that loss would be extremely small compared to the risk that we took earlier. So TP1, I can't even remember where TP1 is, frankly, but it'll be down here somewhere. And let's hope we get that eventually, and that turns into a winner rather than the uncomfortable position into which I put some of you if you took that trade last week. Anyway, that's where I'm at with pound yen. What else have we got going on? Kiwi Swissy. Now, Kiwi Swissy is another that we took yesterday. G'day, Lewis. How you doing? And that, as you can see, TP1 down here, missed by a freckle. I think the level that we wanted to take profit at was 64.30. Yes, it was. And this candle got to, where's my status? It's ticked. Why doesn't it tell me then? It'll tell me over there, won't it? This got to 64.29.6. So you've got to get under there by the spreads, of course. So we've missed that by a pip or so. And normally I would immediately move my stops to entry if that were the case, and it was the case. But because the weekly pivot and the daily pivot are sandwiched together here, I thought I'd just give this a little opportunity today to go with momentum off the pivots. So I'm staying in this, but I'll definitely be looking to scale out of this if we get a close above the pivots today. If it goes and hits our stop today, then so be it. But if you're not comfortable with this position now, having missed TP1 by less than a pip, I would suggest you either A, move your stops to entry and you'll be very close to being out, or you just get out if you're not comfortable. But I'm comfortable whilst ever we're below those pivots, and we'll keep that position. So pound yen into profit, Kiwi Swissy not in profit. Well, went into profit, but didn't get our TP1 by the barest possible margin. Pound US dollar has, as we saw earlier, hit TP1 easily and looks like it has more appetite to test these lows again. That would be good if it went through it. What else are we in, guys? Aussie US dollar. Aussie US dollar, I have moved my stops here into positive territory. Now, we have taken profit on this, of course. So we've got stops trailing in positive area. Reason I've done this is very, very similar to what I described on, I think I described on Kiwi Swissy, where I think this could well be a right shoulder. I certainly did yesterday anyway. This could well be a right shoulder and forming an inverted head and shoulders. And for that reason, pardon me, if this does get a close above weekly pivot, that's where I want to get out, or at least scale out substantially, because this is potentially going to turn into that and then go long. Same applies on Aussie US dollar. Not that we'll get an inverted head and shoulders, but we do have a higher high, higher low in place at the moment, or certainly a higher low. Higher high is not accurate. So this is potentially going back into the range, and if it does, then it will more than likely head towards the monthly pivot. Have to do that today because the monthly pivot will move or the top of the range. And if that's the case, our stop loss would have been hit anyway because it was an entry. So I'm more than happy to take a little bit more profit on that one. Euro yen. Euro yen looking okay, but very, very similar in chart pattern to Aussie US dollar. And look, I think we've got an excellent chance here today of this kicking and taking out this low, at least matching this low. If it does that, is that our second take profit area? Yes, it would be. I'll be taking second. In fact, I'll be taking second profit here if that were the case. Stops are already at entry, so there's no risk here. It's almost an add point for me. Very, very close to it. I'd want to see a resistance break, however, and that could easily occur on the smaller time frames. You've got a trend or a trade line coming down through here somewhere. Actually, that's not the one I'd use. Probably there. That looks far more reasonable to me. So I'd love to see this break, hit the weekly pivot, find its way back underneath, and then retest it. Interesting and tight to get an entry, and TP1 here, I grant you that. Maybe even a little bit higher would be better, but we'll see how that pans out. Nothing to do here, in my humble opinion. I was similar to the Aussie, however, thinking about moving my stop to above the swing, but we've got the added protection of the monthly pivot sitting there, so why not use it? We're not at any risk here. We can only win. It's just a matter of how much. And if it did come back to the monthly pivot and take our stops, we'd be kicking ourselves if the price came down to here, just for the sake of those few extra pips. So that's why I've left that one there. EuroCAD's bowling along as usual. I won't go through that experience again. I think I'm up to date, guys. Pretty close anyway. Might be a couple of others in the market, but they're all doing well, with the exception of Kiwi Swiss, as I said, which is just a big question mark on what happens with these pivots today. It's in profit, but gee whiz, we missed TP1 by less than a pip. That gives you the SH1Ts. Ash, does it not? How are you, buddy?
It does, mate. Do you know what? I'm just here eyeballing a FTSE 100 short, and I'm struggling to make a decision. I think I should have probably got in already, but there's a FTSE 100 short, but it looks a bit sticky. Looks all right. I'm going to show you the charts, mate, and we can make a choice on this. But
Sure.
There is a short here, a potential short, might just be too unclear. But let's have a look.
Okay, Lewis, did you have the same TP1 and missed by a freckle, same as me? Yes, really rocks your socks when you wake up and that's happened.
You got the FTSE here?
Yep.
Yeah, great. Might have just missed the opportunity actually. Yeah, I think we might have. It was a difficult one to kind of take, but the indicators were all going short. But I thought I saw John sort of saying that the FTSE has started the day. I think pretty much the comment was about it racing to the upside, and it absolutely was, which wasn't really an issue per se, but it could have just taken off. Now, the indicators are all for short, and it's really just trying to establish whether there's enough room to take the short. I think that was my biggest problem with it, because that created quite a big bar, so 15 up. Yeah, might well come back to that low down there. Actually, you know what? If this comes back to that pivot, I might take this one on, and try and get back to the lows again. Because it does look quite weak today. Really, what I'd quite like to see with the FTSE is some follow through today. I'm not. I think first contact is absolutely fine for some profit, but I think we might actually go through the lows. We're at the end of the month, and we've had some GDP data from the UK, which was quite tepid, not so good. And it just might be enough of a catalyst to encourage people to take some profit here. Now, why does that keep going back to that? Let's put that there. So I might well take this on. And I was keen on it this morning, but it did just open up very, very hot. Now let's have a look at this. I've changed these charts now, so we should be okay. That's clean with pivots. Oh, I don't have a clean without. Okay, that's annoying. Okay, I don't have a clean without pivots. So what I'm going to do is get rid of these pivots, if I can. Get rid of those. Now we can just have a look at this on a price action basis and have a look where we are. One of the issues really, when we opened up, I was just looking at that. I was thinking, you know what, we are in a buy zone here. So the move to the upside was probably had some air of inevitability. I was going to say it was inevitable, but that would be a misnomer, because obviously nothing is inevitable in the markets. Otherwise, it would be really easy. But it wasn't a buy zone as we opened up here, and we got a really nice jump to the upside. But look at the price action since it wasn't able. This was the area I was looking at. There's let me just make sure that this is correct. Yeah, there's a little pattern here. Let's get rid of this. I think. Look at that bar, mate. That's the 15-minute bar.
Yep.
Don't know how clear it is on the screen, but that is
it's clear as
incredibly negative. That was the initial kind of move, and then if we flip back to the 5, you can see that the price just poked itself above it, but then came right underneath it. Now the pivots were an issue, and they still are to a degree, because they're kind of stacked up in this area. So we might be able to get some price action to the upside, but this looks to me like we might get some follow through today. And what I would like to do is try and get a position on to the downside, and then see if we can go through and add to it. So I don't normally do this, but I think end of the month does tend to create a bit of an opportunity for a more of a trend. Now you can also probably see here that there is a head and shoulders pattern going on, and here we see this is on the 5. Change these to yellow. And make sure it is filled in properly. No, why is my shape coming out black? I wonder. I'm not sure. Okay, I'll tell you what, we'll do it a different way. Or we'll do it this way instead. Hopefully this will work instead. So you can see that there is a left shoulder there, there's the head there, and we are just on the right shoulder level here. So so we do have a potential for a reversal here as well, and it looks like that might well be completed. So I am going to take the short, but I'm just going to wait for it to just to see if I can get it at the lows of the previous 5-minute bar, if I can. And let's get rid of some of these again. Now, this is one of those situations and scenarios where patience is either going to be the key for us making money, or a possible missed opportunity, because it was just moving just that little bit too fast. Now, if I bring back the shorter term time frames, you can see where my issue was trying to get in. Now, it's been a great month, so if we don't get into the trade, then it's not the worst thing in the world. It would be a bit of a shame, but it's not the worst thing in the world. But this was my issue, you know, trying to take the trade in this area. Yes, you could have taken it on the break of a pivot, but obviously that can still be false. There was 11 down. I mean, there's currently sort of 16 up, so not quite a 1-to-1. But if we can snuggle, just nestle back into here, give us some kind of intimation at that point that we're going lower, then we can take the trade on and see if we can get to the downside. But I do really like it. Now we're in a buy zone down here, so this won't be any good. But if we can get the first trade on, then the idea will be what I will do for full disclosure is I will try and get it into the market up here, somewhere around about here. So somewhere around about 70, 72. And if it starts to push down, then what I will also do is try and get into the market at the low. So if it breaks down at 70.52, then probably a little bit lower actually, around about 70.50, then I will add to the position. And when I add to that position, I will put this position at break even. So there's only one position in the market, and that's where we might start to get some genuine profits. Now, after that, I will have to flip back again. Apologies for kind of flipping back and forth here. But after that, we will go back to the dailies, and we'll look for the target of the monthly pivot at 69.90. So there should be another 50 pip run, and if we can double up our position, that would be really good. But it's not looking likely at this stage. I think this one might be a possible missed opportunity. You know, but it was a bit tricky. That was a tricky one to harness, that one, because it moved quickly, and it's good because and one of the reasons that there's a suggestion that today that we go through is that it's moving quickly because there's increased volatility, which is brilliant. You know, if we can get some decent volatility going on and suggestion of some follow through, that would be fantastic. But let's just have a quick look at what could be moving us today as well.
I'm going to say, have we got any data today?
Yeah, there's quite a lot. I mean, we've already had this is you know, quite key. The negative 1.6% on the final GDP. That is a key number, and a miss as well. It's GDP, so it's, you know, I mean, it's lagging. It's hugely lagging, but I don't think the FTSE needs too much of an excuse to possibly start to weaken because we have been so high recently, and we are now the closing day of the month. So with the closing day of the month, things tend to happen, which is one of my one of the reasons it's one of my favorite days. We have also had numbers from Europe, CPI flash estimate as well from Europe later on. Now, I think I've underestimated the European story a bit, mate. I was reading a bit further into what's going on with business and business sentiment, and actually it's really buoyant. 15-year, I think one of the most significant growth periods for 15 years. I mean, it really is on a bit of a tear, and they are also starting to come out of lockdown next month as well. So where are we looking?
Is that still going to happen? I heard some headlines that the UK was not in good shape with Delta.
The UK is not in good shape with Delta, but I think I think we
who
are
is,
still
mind
coming
you?
out. What's that mean?
I said, who is, mind you?
Yeah, well, this is the thing, but no, I was actually talking about Europe with the numbers, because the numbers from Europe have actually been better than I thought. So we need to watch some of those numbers a bit today. The issue that Europe's got is that with those numbers being better and Christine Lagarde not moving, then it's going to start to decrease their purchasing power, which should actually start to boost inflation even further. So I think the ECB are going to have to move a lot quicker than they've stated so far. Interesting that the States have really been the first mover to a point, interesting to a point. Not interesting because they are the biggest nation and you expect whatever they do, everybody else to follow. But interesting that it's Jerome Powell that's kind of looked at the numbers and reacting first. I always kind of associate him with somebody who is more reactive than proactive. So I think the fact that they've stated it probably is maybe more dangerous than we thought, or maybe more significant than we thought initially. But I think Europe's going to have to move. So with some of these numbers, we're going to have to watch out. Now, CPI inflation flash flash estimate. This could be quite significant today. Now, that's not for another couple of hours, but that could be quite significant today, because are we getting to the point where the businesses are starting to progress? This potential commodity super cycle that people are talking about as well is a problem, because that's going to start pushing up manufacturing prices, and then you've still got this weak currency kind of floating around. So I think they might have to react a bit quicker. So we need to watch those CPI numbers. Also from the United States, Chicago PMIs are going to give us a little bit of a hint into what might be released tomorrow. But it is tomorrow where we start to see, more of a slew of data that's probably going to move the market. Governor Bailey obviously speaking, but ISMs, OPEC meetings as well, and that's what it's kind of like now for the close of the week. Average earnings, non-farm payrolls, and unemployment rate, all from the United States on Friday. So does that suggest the market could move to the downside? Yes, it still could. We might be in a situation where there could be some positioning for some downside rather than upside for a change, and that's certainly what I'm seeing with the FTSE. So let's hope we get the opportunity, mate. But the FTSE has taken a pretty pretty healthy plummet lower already. Healthy is in 0.5%, you know, maybe a quarter of 1%, a third of 1% to a half of 1%. It's relatively healthy over a short period of time, and it's certainly enough of a number to make some money. So we're looking for a bit of a bounce here, and hopefully it will happen, but I'm not too sure whether it will. I think, as I say, it might well have been a missed opportunity, and I feel a little bit annoyed that that was missed, and I will reassess whether the procrastination was the correct thing to do or not. It always looks like it's not if the market
it does.
in the way.
Short term, if you miss an entry, you go, "Oh my God, look, I've missed the bloody entry."
That's a mistake, but it might not be. You know, it might be that that when we look back at these charts, what we might be sort of saying is it was quite sensible to wait for a retest of the pivots, because when I was looking at the trade, we were above the pivots. So really looking for a retest of the pivots and down again might well be the sensible course of action. And let's just draw a trend line here as well and see what this suggests. That doesn't give us much, does it? You can see that this area of potential resistance is it could be on. So is that going to be just a bit too? That's 20 with 10 to the downside. I'm not ever adverse to taking a 1 to 2 if it looks really good, if it looks like a solid trade. But in this situation, I don't think I'll be doing that. It's not that I don't think it'll be a winner, because I think it probably will. But I just think it's bad practice to be aiming for something like that when there could be a few twists and turns, when we still got data kind of coming out. If the data had passed, maybe so, but I'm not really too keen on that. Even though that 15-minute bar does look very, very good. So let's see what we get here, mate. We might get kind of close. This needs to pop up another 7 pips, and I'll be taking that trade to the downside.
Okay, but you're not going to set a limit entry.
The only reason I'm not going to set a limit entry is that I don't think it's going to get hit.
Right.
So I'll probably have to do it manually anyway, and I'll have to be doing it manually, then taking off my limit entry just in case I get popped in twice. So I'm going to do it manually and make a choice and see if I can get into the trade that way instead.
It's an interesting point you make, Lewis. If all the footy fans start to get a little bit of that bloody Delta thing, all hell could break loose. That's very true.
That is. Well, we had 44,000 at Wembley yesterday, all watching England beat Germany.
Yeah, what happened there?
Oh, man, it's great.
Germany all crook or something?
They're not the best German team I've ever seen.
Okay.
And to be fair, England, I was with my buddies on WhatsApp all night, kind of like slating England and slating the manager, and then he scored 2, and he's like, England have he's got them playing pretty tight. He's done a good job on the system actually, Gareth Southgate. They're difficult to beat. But they might not be all that exciting in
Germany in a big game, wouldn't it?
What's that mean?
It would be a while since England beat Germany in a big game, wouldn't it?
55 years, yeah.
55 years.
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking maybe 10, but
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It'll be for now if we don't go and win it, though. This is the thing, that they really do need to go and win this tournament if we are to get any kind of pleasure out of beating Germany. It's great to beat Germany. They're kind of the old foe, and they always manage to beat us on penalties, and in that they are the kind of significant team really in Europe to beat for us. Probably them and obviously France, but it won't be for anything. If we get knocked out on the next stage, then it won't really mean anything. But it's been a really interesting tournament. France are the best team. There's no doubt about it, and they lost to the Swiss after being 3-1 up. It's been brilliant. It's been absolutely brilliant. So even though I thought at the start England have got no chance, actually I think they do. They have a really good chance of winning this one.
Because all the good teams are knocked out. Yeah, okay.
Not all of them. Belgium
I'm
is still
just kidding, mate. Only pulling your leg.
Well, a lot of them are, though. A lot of them are. Belgium is still in, but they've got injuries. You've got Italy that are playing great. I think Italy deserve probably to win it from what they've played so far. But it's only really those guys and Spain. So, France are out, Holland are out. Who else went out quite recently as well that were very good and probably, well, Germany. So, as I say, not the best German team I've ever seen, but it's Germany. So you never write the Germans off. They know how to
very
kick
strong.
The ball.
Yeah, historically very strong.
Yeah.
Yes, and of course Ainsley's joined us and is putting in a comment that Germany were training with Queensland. Now, most of you wouldn't have any idea what that means, but I'll explain that. The biggest football game in Australia every season is State of Origin, which is rugby league, and New South Wales play Queensland in a best of 3 series each and every year. And to be fair, Queensland have dominated that particular scenario for quite some time. So this is not a bridge too far to draw a comparison between what we just talked about. Not 55 years, that's true, but they had a very, very big stronghold on it. And then, of course, lost a few players. And now New South Wales are extremely dominant and absolutely slaughtered Queensland. So, yes, I take your point. Are you going to join us and talk about this shiny metal? And I've got to say, I'm interested in gold right now from a candle point of view. I think that's a beautiful candle that's just been produced on the daily chart yesterday.
Wow, who would have thought they'd heard those words?
Yeah, indeed. I'm quite interested.
Really?
I know you guys are going to talk it down, but I'm kind of interested there, and I think the spike in Delta all over the place can't be too harmful to along here either.
Well, do you know, yeah, I think that's a good point, and also, as I said, if we continue to kind of get the situation going on with the growth scenario that we seem to be having, or certainly some of these businesses having to pay more and more for their goods, and they're employing as well, and yet you've got this weak currency scenario that's inflationary, and that does point to higher gold. Now, it's the bond yields that may be the problem, but Ainsley can school us on that. But
I think she's trying to, but she can't talk for some reason.
Okay.
I don't know where that's coming from, but she's rolling around on the floor laughing at my previous comment, I think.
I think that's fair. I think that's a fair assessment. What you're saying that having some gold might be the option. Now, I don't know if it is, but do you know what? The inverted head and shoulders still looks good on the weekly as well. And it looks like we're in fact, let me show you that on this chart here.
I mean, if that low's taken out, if yesterday's low is taken out, then I'm not interested. But the fact that it took out that strong support level and then came off it is interesting to me.
Yeah. Let's bring in the weekly here. Let me just see if I can get rid of that. Okay, so this trend line here is right where that right shoulder would be. So I am with you when you look at this. And this is where I like to see, there's the neckline there. This is where I like to see the either inverted or head and shoulders patterns where the right shoulder has a trend line that goes through it. But that looks like an obvious neckline, but you can see there left shoulder, head, right shoulder picking up from this particular point looks pretty good. So I think there's a technical case to be made for some upside. Is there a fundamental case? Well, let's ask the Golden Girl.
What's she like at pantomime? Oh, she can talk.
I can talk. Hooray! Although some people would say that's not such a good idea. But anyway, so seasonal buyers, and we've talked about this for the last couple of weeks. Guess what? There is a downtrend until about the 5th. Beg your pardon, wrong date. Let me just get the date. 8th of July.
Okay.
8th of July.
So
Okay.
a week away.
And then after that, is the upward tick very, very strong?
It's one of the stronger seasonal runs, apart from December for gold, is July through to the end of August. So
we've got to be liking this then, eh? I mean, I'll tell you what would help us, some sort of weekly reversal bar, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, but at the moment, I mean, we saw the pattern on. Honey, could you just drop down to a daily chart, please, Ash?
Yeah, sure thing. I'll get rid of some of these lines.
Because we've had that consolidation. Because last week was just, you know, a really, really tight range. It was after it threw up and decided to fall away. So we had that huge consolidation, which actually looks worse on a 4-hourly chart. It was like, but we just got it going sideways. And I even said on Sunday night, it's like I expect that pivot to be right bang in the middle, and it was 1781. And then we didn't have any bars close above that pivot until it's sort of like now drifting down further. So I'm still expecting a little bit more of a drift. Now it's saying for the beginning of it's saying about the 8th of July, but you know, when you're looking at a seasonal chart, you've really got to give yourself a bit of a window there, because you know, can't always trade on the weekend. So if it does start to give me a reversal bar and start to push up, and we don't hit the 1 million jobs that is coming. Who was that? One of the banks. So JP Morgan saying 1 million, they're looking for 1 million jobs to be added on Friday night. I'm like,
really?
Oh, you kind of missed that one for the last 2 or 3 NFPs. I've been doing happy dances all over the place on NFPs on Friday night. But if it misses again, that might be the daily reversal bar that we're looking for at the beginning of the week to give us something to go north. So yes,
we're looking at job data.
Yeah, the job starter on Friday night with NFPs. So
does that mean when you look at this chart, you kind of go, well, that should actually travel sideways for the next 2 days?
Look, there's a couple of things that I'm looking at, but you could see from after gold, once it's had a good move, will go sideways. It's just, you know, if you look at that on a 4-hourly chart, Ash, yeah, look at that. don't just go back a bit further. Yeah, look at that for the week. Had its throw up, fell down, and they were just bang in between, and just sort of like backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards.
The more I look at that, the more I like it.
Yeah, I bet you do, mate. I was just thinking that. It looks like a false break, doesn't it?
I just look at that and go, oh, it my consolidation reminds me, and ranges now always remind me of Uncle Jeff. I don't know. However, that's what we've got there. So yeah,
they look lovely. That's why they're beautiful. They're a picture perfect.
You wouldn't want that taken above the pivot though, Jeff, would you? I mean, below the pivot. There's a daily pivot just sat above this little kind of bear flag kind of range here. Let's just have another look here.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be prepared to trade on anything less than a daily chart, but I think it makes sense to me to put an entry above yesterday's daily bar.
So it's getting that set up, and even on that weekly chart that I've got with, you know, that massive bull flag and levels and all the rest of it that I muck around with on a Sunday night, it just seems to be all lining up. And at the moment, as I said, the seasonals for gold currently are for it still to drift down south for the next couple of days for the beginning of July. Can't believe we're saying July. In fact,
indeed.
Yeah,
moving fast, isn't it?
Let me run this past you, Wade. The rundown was substantial and swift.
Yep.
then the consolidation,
Yep.
then the breakout. But the breakout's gone nowhere and it's gone straight back into consolidation. Does that mean anything to you from a technical aspect?
It's going to be waiting for Friday night.
Right. Okay. So that's why it's only been short and sharp.
Yeah. So it still could go down on Friday night. Who knows? Until those numbers come out. So
yeah, that makes sense.
The information that has made it move previously, one was the Fed, and obviously Friday night. Friday is my Friday night excitement. I'm afraid the first week of the month is to get excited with the way gold goes and it reacts to the NFP numbers. So, note to self, get a life. But at the moment, we can't even get out the front door. So, lockdown in the rain has been great.
I really like that, because that means that you've got there's almost a time thing that you kind of always aim for with a month, because you know what a potential driver is going to be, and if NFP is one of those really important numbers to be able to watch, it's one of the parts of the process of trading gold, isn't it? If you know, so NFP is
trading anything though. Actually, if you're going to trade a commodity, you should know what moves your market, like oil inventories or somebody bombing one of those Middle Eastern docks that will, shipping docks for where they export oil from. That will sort of make things sensitive. It's just a known fact. OPEC meetings. Hello, that'll move the market.
Completely agree. I think it's but what's interesting is that you kind of, every trader will look at that on a different almost in a different time frame, because I'm kind of trading, trying to take some small bites out of the market. There'll be certain things that every week that will be significant for the FTSE. Whereas if you're looking at the NFP, then maybe the picture, maybe you don't need quite as many, because you're looking at the big picture stuff. You're looking to try and get a nice big move. So you're building slightly different jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah, and my style of trading as well is I lose when I try to get down onto smaller time frames or try to take smaller trade. I'll stuff it up, and I'm better waiting for the bigger move.
Yeah.
So that's just understanding the nature of the
well, do you know, so, I've really found the and this is something that I will always thank Gordon Scott for. I think that his the way that he's opened up the kind of mindset of everybody kind of having this animal and just making it just a bit more, because I think we all know we should be trading our personality, but when it's kind of laid out for you about what that really means, it kind of makes your decisions a lot easier. You don't feel guilty about coming out of a trade early if that's not your personality. You don't feel guilty, about losing a few in the row, because that's not your personality. It's to try and kind of make sure that you get the big one, the big polar bear move. Yeah,
look, I mean, my personality is I like things big, big diamonds, big trade. It's just a me thing. But I also know that trying to be a hunting dog and trying to trade an hourly chart, or as I was when I first started, 5 minutes, it's not me. It was doing my head in. I couldn't process all the information because I'm detailed. I couldn't process the information quick enough to make a decision to get onto the trade. Whereas somebody who can just look at it and go, bang, yep, that's good enough, tick, that's fine. But being a hunting dog for me, it was very expensive because I just couldn't do it. So I had to fall back and just go, okay, I don't trade all the time, and my trades stay on for a while. And then it's just like, okay, we're getting to that area that I think is looking good on a daily chart, on a weekly chart. Oh, okay, on the monthly chart, that's going to choke. It's, with oil, for example, we know it's going to choke around $75. I'm okay with that.
Okay, so you've just brought that up. So oil's at 73.24. So you're looking at oil going to 75, are you?
Yeah, if you look on a monthly for oil.
Okay. Sorry, it's different. It's 72.96 on this platform.
Yeah. So at the moment, It's going to be around that anyway. So
we want a monthly, right?
on a monthly, and just bear in mind, so you're going to see it going flipping all over the place at the moment on 4 hourly. But if you go to a monthly, have a look at where previous level is. Yeah, hello.
I got you. Yeah.
And the other thing it's just on that, if you go to 200 simple moving average on that chart as well, Ash, you'll find that the June monthly bar has crossed it, and it hasn't been any not exponential, simple.
Let's make it yellow so we can all see it. Perfect. You can see it perfectly there, can't you?
Yeah, perfect.
I'm not quite sure what's going on with my where are you indicators? I'm not sure what's my indicators at the minute.
Try to do a simple job.
Oh, I tell you what it was. I just realised. I'm going to make another. You should see it now. See, perfect. Where is that gone then? Let's put it on here. It's on there, all right. Yeah, but that's on the weekly. I'll tell you what. Maybe it's getting tucked behind this. Maybe it's getting tucked behind this this pivot here. So let's take that pivot away. That's odd. That is very odd.
Have you got the properties turned off on that chart? Of that indicator? Can you do that?
Anyway, on my chart, the 200 simple moving average has just been clipped by the June chart, and it's 200 moving average, so it should be green.
I know it should be green, but I thought it'd be easier to see because of the green. Okay, I'll bring it in green.
Go to visualization then.
Chartreuse. Oh, chartreuse.
There you go. There we go. We'll go with that. It just doesn't want to appear.
Go to visualization.
Visualization. What do you mean?
Just what I said. Go to visualization. There.
Yeah.
There. No, it's on all charts. Okay.
I'll tell you what. Let's put it just on the monthly and see if that helps us. All right. Close.
Nailed it.
It's on that one. Let's go back. Let's see if it just needed a bit of help. Oh, it just doesn't want to come on. Just doesn't like oil. It's on the other charts, but it just doesn't like oil. Actually, it's not on that one either.
Anyway, so between $75, it will probably kick back down again and retest that moving average, and before it comes back up, and then I expect it to break through and then come back down.
And where is the moving average, eh? What's
hang on.
What price is it at?
Now you're asking me to go and have a look at my chart, which I can
change this to exponential and see if that helps.
Okay. 200 is around $70 on mine.
Oh, do you know what? It's giving me on as an exponential moving average. So yours at what? Sorry, $71.
Around $70.
About $70.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah. So between that, if it gets to 75, this is what I expect it will happen. Will be a retest back down at least to around that $70 to retest the simple moving average. Come back, and then it'll be a bit more of a push backwards north. It'll come down and retest the $75 mark, and then take off. And I think we're heading towards 100. 80 to 85 will probably obviously be the next stop.
So
Delta breakout's an issue with that, eh?
It's more the supply side, actually, Jeff.
Okay, so
what's happened with
already we haven't got planes flying big time, so Delta strain's not, if Delta strain does the damage that it could and looks likely to, frankly, around the world, it's not going to make that much difference to planes.
Okay, two things. Last night, did you hear that Moderna actually released a news, a media release saying that they are actually effective against the Delta strain.
Yeah,
Okay.
I heard.
Their share
No, I
price
didn't.
went through the roof. So that's one thing. The other thing that came out last night was there is an outlook by, I think it was American Airlines, who have now purchased a stupid number of new planes from Airbus.
Wow. Wow.
Because they believe business travel will go back to pre-pandemic levels, if not higher. So they're banking on that. So they've put their oar in the water, well, wings in the air. It will cause higher inflation, but it's also, yeah. So it's not just the demand side of things that will do it, it's the supply side of stuff that will actually push up the price as well. So whilst there's the demand for oil, there is a supply issue going on in the background. Now, OPEC, one of the things in those OPEC meetings coming up on, was it Thursday, is that they're going to lift the restriction of production. Now they're going to, yeah. So if that does, that'll bring the price back down. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I expect to see a bit of a push up. That if you sort of put the timing together, you will see it come back down again. And yeah, higher oil prices will affect things like airline travel and all that kind of stuff. The other thing to consider is that last Thursday, Ambani, who is
Fred Flintstone's partner.
Sorry?
Did you say Barney?
Ambani. Mukesh
Fred Flintstone's
Ambani.
partner, no.
I'm sorry, mate.
Not Adani. Adani is coal. Ambani is one of Asia's richest men, and he is pivoting his petrochemical company and oil refining business, $10 billion US for hydrogen cells, for solar paneling, for the building of all those things called batteries for the storage electricity over 3 years, and another 150 million to invest vertically in partnership deals. He is starting to pivot. Now, he's the first of the major companies to do this. It's a bit like, when Lamborghini said that they weren't going to have EQs, they weren't going to have, EVs, sorry, they weren't going to have any electric vehicles. Was it Ferrari or Lamborghini? And then their financiers pointed out the error of their ways, i.e. they wouldn't get any more financing. And lo and behold, there is something new.
Well, I was going to ask,
tough decision to make there.
It was obviously a long discussion, Jeff. So,
just on that as well, the planes that American Airlines have purchased or ordered from Airbus, are they the new electric planes or are they still fuel run? Because that'd be an interesting thing as well. I mean, surely, that sort of takes us into a different kind of question with oil and fossil fuels. If they're starting to pivot now, I mean, I know Airbus are working on this new aircraft. I don't know whether they've got the technology right just yet, but I wonder whether there might be sort of, something like that.
Testing it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. But let me ask you a question now. This is relatively recent, in the last 3 years, let's say. What do you think that the biggest company on the FTSE 100 is currently? I know we've got a quiz tomorrow.
Sorry.
And this is purely relevant to where we are. There's a little clue. Purely relevant to where we are. What do you think the biggest the company by market cap, the biggest company by market cap is?
On the FTSE?
Yeah.
No idea. Well, it can't be Fortnum and Mason.
Not BP. But kind of think about where we are. Think about what's been going on for the last 2 years, and which company probably would have done really well.
AstraZeneca.
Yeah, AstraZeneca.
Wow.
Is the highest, is the company with the highest market cap. And that has moved. That's not just a recent thing. Since COVID's happened, it's just jumped and jumped and jumped and jumped. And now they sit at a market cap of 114 billion, where they've overtaken Shell and they've overtaken Unilever.
That's amazing though, Ash, because it's been given, AstraZeneca has got such bad press. And I reckon Pfizer or Moderna are definitely behind it, but AstraZeneca have really, really copped it to the point in our country.
Yeah.
They've now limited. Well, up until
Hang on, you got to check.
So,
You got to check what time on what day it is.
Yeah,
Ainsley.
initially they restricted it to over 60s. It was for over 50s, and that was for over 60s. And then last night they were just saying the reason we're having these bloody lockdowns and these Delta variants are getting out of control is because not enough of us have been vaccinated, because they're all saying, oh, there's no hurry, there's no hurry. Well, actually, there is. We'd like it to actually be able to deal with this, but AstraZeneca have been associated with blood clots, and they. But the other thing I read was Pfizer has been heart inflammation in young men, has been associated with heart inflammation in young men in the States in studies. So they're all going to have something.
I think over time we'll find a lot of those things. I would imagine, like
thalidomide and tetracycline.
and because they haven't been through the proper testing, right? We've rushed this to market, so it wouldn't surprise me at all what happens in the next 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, and I don't think we're out of this lockdown too. By the way, Jeff, by the 10th of July either.
Yeah,
no, I would agree with that.
Not with the numbers, which means homeschooling.
Oh, brilliant! Here we go.
Yeah, I was going to try. I was going to try dry July. Not with homeschooling, you don't.
No. It's homeschooling is a challenge, as Alison knows.
Applied July.
As you would know. How old is Molly now?
Molly's 5.
5.
Yeah.
Year 5. Grade 1 maths must be a real killer.
John, you've had AZ. I've had AZ. I think A's had AZ.
I've had AZ.
But you're 77, John, so it doesn't really matter. Okay.
There's a lot of medications, and one of the things, and I was talking to a girlfriend the other day, I was just like, we're all up in arms about the number of people. Do you know what the pill, going on the pill, can cause massive blood clots, can actually cause death? And we don't talk about the other vaccinations that can cause huge complications. We just accept that might be a possibility. And you look at these, you look at the numbers per million, and you just go, okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, you were saying about AstraZeneca kind of getting bad press, but actually they all do at some point, because they're dealing with sort of like treating people for illnesses, and inevitably some will fall through the net, some will get ill because of what they're giving them. There's quite a well-known reporter over here called Andrew Marr, and he runs this political show on Sundays, and it's watched by anybody that's into any kind of politics will watch Andrew Marr. And he was double vaccinated, and then he said he got a particularly bad strain of COVID within a few weeks. So he's come out on the BBC and said this. So this is something else which is kind of an aspect of it as well. You've got people that are being sick, you've got people that are getting something from the COVID vaccine, like heart problems or blood clots. You've got people not taking it. You've got all these side stories, and then you've got the people that have had both, and they're still getting COVID very badly. It's not that they're getting it a little bit; they're getting it really badly. And when he was asking the physician about it, the physician said, what would have happened is that you would have gone to hospital if you hadn't had the vaccine. And he was like, well, I was close to going to hospital. I was just getting ready to the phone. It was a really bad case of COVID that he had. So,
hang on. Is that man flu, or is it,
Oh, well, it could be. It could be. But I think it was.
I've seen men who say they are sick, and it's just a freaking head cold, okay? It's just like, I'm okay, I hear the point he's making, but I'm also trying to take this with a realistic outlook.
Yeah, well, the thing is, though, that you see that they will always get. Well, I suppose my point is there will always be bad press when you come down to the medical sector. But the fact that AstraZeneca have grown in quite the way they've grown is just I mean, they were already on a pretty steep trajectory, but you know, since COVID they have just blown up, whereas everybody else has stayed relatively stationary. So I think it's kind of a, you know, a state of where we are, and it's also it's not something that you want to kind of necessarily have to take advantage of, but it's also a lesson for everybody that is an investor to kind of look at the world scenario, get a world view, and then think about which sectors are going to do well with this world view, because AstraZeneca are laying it bare. If you pick that correctly, you know what's going to be needed, then you just go out and you know, make sure that you pick the correct company with the correct news story. Okay, there's been some negative news, but the fact that they had a vaccine was, you know, is the reason they've seen the growth. GlaxoSmithKline hasn't come out with one, and they've been pretty stationary for the last 2 years. So it's in some respects it's quite logical, you know. And this is back to what we think about oil, and back to what we think about gold and everything else. You know, we're always trying to make the logical kind of choices on this stuff, and trying to.
Any investing rule, though, Ash, has to be prefaced with, or any successful one is, how does this fix somebody's problem? As soon as you fix somebody's problem, it's a really good premise.
Yeah. That's a good point. That's a really good point. And I suppose that would bring us back
to the Anthony Robbins school of how to win friends and influence people. Or was that Dale Carnegie? Might have been.
Dale Carnegie, how to win friends and influence.
But it's true, isn't it? I mean, really, that's the worldwide thing, isn't it? If you've got a product that solves a problem, that's what it's all about.
Every time. Although, you know, Rubik's Cube, I don't understand. But anyway.
Oh, they're brilliant.
Nor is it consequential. Who gives up? I suppose.
I love Rubik's Cubes. Rubik's Cubes are awesome. I can never get the last layer, though. But but I do like them.
Yeah, look, I could do them. I used to be able to do them, but that's a long time ago. But anyway, yeah. So oil demand. Let's see where that goes. I still think we're heading towards 100. But like I said, have a look at where I learned how. Julian taught me how to trade oil, and I was learning how to short oil from just before the 1st of May 2014. See that waterfall down there? I used to think trading oil was just so easy. You just, you know, it'll drop, great, make money. Then it'll be this little pullback, then it'll drop again. I'm like, oh, this is fun. This thing's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I learned how to trade oil, and it's just like, you gotta love a trending chart.
Yeah, well, it seems to respect levels, and as you say, you know, you're absolutely right that there is this really important level at 75. So to see a little bit of pullback here. Now, do you know, interestingly, with that, and we need to kind of get this kind of overall picture of what's going on with the commodities. And if oil is to pull back, then I suspect some of these markets might pull back as well. FTSE 100's been on a bit of a tear, but it is weakening today, and I'll just, you know, let's start to kind of wrap up the conversation and just say just finally have one last look at the FTSE, which you can see, and then we'll have a look at what you've got as well, Jeff. You can see here that we are getting what looks like a bit of a negative looking bar here as we close out the month. So that would suggest that we also are at a potential turning area, pretty strong horizontal level along here. So could be a longer term to play, which is why I would have quite liked to get in and add to the position. The weekly is looking also that there's a chance that we could end up at the lows, the low end, but it's only Tuesday. So daily breaks down here. Looks to me like we're coming down here. I can see a little head and shoulders pattern in here. Nice little spike there for a nice clean head. Looks like a left shoulder there, right shoulder there, and that brings us the neckline somewhere along this area here. So I think the FTSE is looking a little bit weak. Haven't been able to get into it, and I've got a feeling that this is going to be. This may well defeat me today. I might not be able to get in. because that now we would be adding to this position, because this is starting to break down below that that 70.50. So I'd be adding to the position here, but I can't add because I'm not into the first position. So until I get that first one, it's a bit of a hold for me, which is a bit unfortunate. But that's really the update. The update overall is look for downside. If you can get a decent price point to get in at, then the downside is the only direction of travel, in my opinion, to be looking for today. How about you, Jeff, as we wrap it up?
I want to point out what I did, it was a few weeks ago now, on oil, just for your consideration.
Yep.
And I don't trade oil, never have. But remember I pointed this out? 44, retrace. 55,
yes.
retrace. 66, retrace. We haven't got to 77 yet.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
Just saying. Just saying.
I remember you saying that, mate. Yeah. So
I think we even whacked in 33 in there as well, didn't we?
yes, you did. Yeah.
33 is there-ish. It's about here somewhere.
Yeah, it was in there somewhere, because it was around 33, 34 for a while when it was trying to choke back up again. But you had 44 and then 33. But yeah, it was. I still think, yeah, it's going to be in that range. 75 for me is the sort of if it pushes past there, I wouldn't be surprised if there's something that pushes it past. But I think it's a level that we're in that region, in that zone, just to be wary of, to understand that's going to be a level to be wary around.
Reckoned with.
Yeah.
Reckoned with, yes. I like that. No, I've got nothing new, Ash, at all. Okay. Well, I do. Okay, I do.
What's new? Yeah.
Because this is doing pretty much as I anticipated it might, and it may even set up a trade for us. You can see, well, actually, I'll go to a bigger time frame. You can see clearly what I'm shooting for here. I'm shooting for a false break off anything here, any trade line here on a smaller time frame. So the daily chart's telling me big key reversal bar yesterday. I see even tradable. If you wanted to trade it, I think that's possible. You could take profit at the weekly pivot, but I'm waiting for a false break of something. And that something could well be, let me get rid of these so you can see what I'm going with. And even that one. But what I need to see is a false break of something. Here's a high, potential high. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's this line. So I just need something to get above here and then come back underneath it. Hopefully the daily pivot as well. Then retest it, get an entry about here somewhere, take some profit at the weekly pivot, and then just let it run for quite some time, I would think. That's euro pound. And yesterday I was bullish this, and I failed to look at my market structure. The market structure is not telling me long at all, it's telling me short. So that's a little bit new. I told you about Kiwi Swiss and what I'm going to do with that. If it does close above the weekly pivot, I'm going to either close the position or I'll scale out of it in some degree. But I don't want to stay in this if price gets above the weekly pivot, because we may well have a right shoulder here and this could reverse. So I'm not happy to stay in it if that's the case. Ash, pound yen went into profit, buddy.
Yeah, happy about that, mate. Happy about that. I think I'm getting more of a grip at this now, and then a pound yen should be in profit really because of that GDP number. I'm surprised the pound hasn't come down more significantly, but that's fantastic that we're in profit there.
Yeah, look, I tightened up the position overnight because I actually don't want to cop a loss on this, having been in drawdown for the longest time, and I'm not comfortable with that. Never have been. So what I did was move my stops above yesterday's bar, because I think if yesterday's bar is taken out, then we're going to put in a new high, because that would be a new higher low, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not comfortable with that going beyond that. That would be an extremely small loss if we took the loss. If we get a TP1, which is down here, happy days. We don't need to be concerned. But yeah, we've clawed our way back into a reasonable position on that one.
Brilliant.
Everything else is in profit. 4 other trades, I think, are in profit. They're all going very, very well. Oh, the only other one that's a little bit just negative is pound Kiwi on the monthly chart. I've still got high hopes for that. So we'll see how that goes. Everything else is fine and don't need to do anything. Mate. Oh, actually, the surprise bundled here may well be Euro Swissy. You remember we traded this short and then covered the shorts with this long. It may turn out to be better than the short was. If it can actually get above here, then happy days. We've already got our stop loss in positive territory and we've taken profit already. So this can only be a winner. It's just a matter of how big. But this could actually reverse now. And turn that into a trend continuation, which would be not surprising given the market structure saying, and it always was, we had this ascending triangle and then we got this big breakout to the high side, retracement back to the breakout area. This could easily go long now.
Yeah. Very cool.
Anyway.
Mate. Okay, fantastic. Well, let's wrap it up. We'll be back for the quiz tomorrow. Thanks for coming in, Very interesting conversation today. We'll be watching out for that NFP number. FTSE has now broken to the downside, which is a little bit sickening, but so be it.
We didn't talk about CU, but we'll do that next week, will we?
Okay, do that next week. I'm not sure what CU is.
Yeah, I'll leave that to your imagination.
Okay. All right. We're back for the quiz tomorrow. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thank you to Angel for looking after us. And thanks to Jeff and A for being my trading buddies. I will see you tomorrow. Same trade time, same trade channel.
Thanks, A. Thanks, Ash. Thank you all for being our trading buddies. And we will catch you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I did it again.